शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये. Om. Dear friends, welcome to the study of Geeta. We are in the fourth chapter. We read sloka number 17, that is karmano hyapi bodhavyam bodhavyam cha vikarmanah akarmanascha bodhavyam. In fact, Krishna has used so many words. He used words like karma. Of course, we have been listening to the word karma right from the beginning, but he also used a word called vikarma, akarma. So he used these things. He used these words, karma, akarma, vikarma, etc. And he also said, Gahana karmano gatihi. It is very, very difficult to understand the nature of karma. So this is what we, in fact, all through till now we have been seeing Krishna has been discussing various facets of karma, or he has been discussing karma from various angles. Perhaps no other society in the world bothered so much about what is karma, so much discussion. I don't think any other society has done as much as has been done in the Indian society. That is because our people were so particular about promoting good karma and discouraging bad karma. So in any society, the management of human activity is a very, very important task. That is regulating the human activity and promoting good, and then with discouraging the bad. That is a very, very important activity. Of course, our philosophy, that is all the Indian religions, that is not only Hinduism but also Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, all these religions, they all believed in this karma and also this karma doctrine. I have been saying that. And so much of meticulous calculation about what is the right type of action and what are the nitya karmas, that is compulsory duties, and what are the optional duties and what are the prohibited duties. All these things, there is a lot of discussion in our society, and this has a lot of impact on all the Southeast Asian countries. I have been saying that the entire Asian countries, they all believe in this karma doctrine. So here we are talking about this karma, vikarma, etc. And Krishna is saying it is very, very difficult to know the nature of karma. Then now we have to read the 18th shloka. 18th shloka, I was saying that this is about the awareness, or rather the attitude of a realized person. What is the difference between the action of a realized person and the action of an unrealized person? So that is what we are going to see. Realized person means, realized person is one who is not identifying himself with the body-mind complex, and who has identified himself with that what is called Satyachid Ananda Brahma, something which is not connected. It is something which is asanga. It is something which is akarta. There is no action in that. And that is only a sort of illumining thing, that only it is just almost like a sakshi. So that is what, he stays in that awareness. A jnani is a person. A jnani means, in English we can call it a realized person. A realized person means who has realized his real nature. What has he realized after all? He has realized his real nature. What is his real nature? His real nature is that he is not the body-mind complex. He is that supreme Satchidananda. On the other hand, an unrealized person is one who has identified himself with the body-mind complex. So what Krishna is going to say in this shloka is, there is a difference between the action of a jnani, that is a realized person, and unrealized person. Let me read the shloka first and then explain to you. Karmanya karmayah pasyed akarmani cha karmayah sa buddhiman manushyeshu sa yukta krutsna karma krut. Karmani akarma yah pasyet akarmani cha karma yah. So he is saying, one has to see, when somebody is performing an action, when somebody is doing an action, we have to see it as akarma, that is a non-action. When someone else is not performing any action, we have to see it as action. So what is it? The situation is, somebody is doing some karma, but it is not counted at all. It is not counted as karma. Let us understand like this. Somebody is doing some karma, but it is not counted as karma. And somebody is not doing karma, but it is counted as karma. What is the problem? In the first case, the first person is a jnani. A jnani is doing something, and whatever he does, it is not being counted as a karma. Karmani akarma yah pasyet. Karmani means in karma. That is when he is performing a karma. Even though he is performing a karma. So karmani, even though he is performing karma, akarma yah pasyet. one has to see that akarma. Why? Because he has not identified himself with the body-mind complex. He is identifying himself with that supreme reality, and he doesn't have that notion of I, because his individual I, a realized person, is one whose individual I has totally merged. His individual I has I means not this I, capital I. Capital I means that ego. Ego, in English, when I use the word ego, maybe it may give a different meaning. Ego or ahankara. In Vedanta, whenever we use the words ahankara, it does not mean arrogance and pride and whatnot. It is not arrogance. Ahankara, when we say aham pratyaya, that is I, the notion of I. So a jnani is one, or a realized person is one, in whom that notion of I has totally merged with that infinity. So for such a person, whatever he does, even if he is doing something, he may perform an action, he may not perform an action. Whatever he does, it is something which is not counted as karma. So that is akarma. So karmani akarma yah pashyat. So that is in the case of a realized person. Then what about an ordinary man? That is an unrealized person. An unrealized person who is identifying himself with the body-mind complex, then whatever he says, okay, I will not do anything. Suppose I say I will not do anything, I keep quiet. But I have this identification with the body-mind complex. I still have this notion of I. I am not doing anything. That notion of I am not doing anything. That notion is very much there with me. So that is something, okay, I am supposed to do some action. I am not doing anything. That means, okay, I am voluntarily not doing any action and I am mentally conscious. I have mentally taken a decision not to do any action. So it is a manasika karma, manasa karma. That is something which is manasam karma, we can say. That is manasam karma is, I am doing with the mind, not with the body. I am not doing with the body, but I am doing it with the mind. So that is in the case of a second person, that is in the case of an unrealized person, a man may not be doing anything, but his non-performance is also counted as a karma. For example, somebody is supposed to do a work. In the office, suppose you are going to office, you are supposed to do a work. And if you are not doing a work, then what does it amount to? It amounts to dereliction of duty. Dereliction of duty, that is a non-performance of duty. This is also somewhat like that, somewhat similar to that. So there are acts of commission and acts of omission. A person action does not mean that somebody really does something. Even not doing anything also sometimes is taken as action. That is an act of omission, act of commission and act of omission. There are what are called sins of omission and sins of commission. So like that, an act of commission and act of omission. So here, karmani akarmayah pasyed, akarmani cha karmayah. So here we are having the action of a jnani. The action of a jnani is something which is non-action because there is no kartrutva bhavana. Kartrutva bhavana means that notion that I am the doer. That notion is not there. Gentlemen, a realized person, he doesn't have that notion I am the doer. Whereas on the other hand, this non-action of ajnani, ajnani is just keeping, ajnani, we should not think it as very, very ignoramus man and all that. Ajnani means not an unrealized person. Because in Vedanta, we use the word ajnani very liberally. He may be a very great scholar in some other science. He may be a very great scientist. But with reference to Vedanta, he is called ajnani. So we should not get offended when we use the word ajnani. Ajnani need not offend us because we are all in different levels of ajnana only. So this ajnana means a person who has not realized. Jnani, okay, if it comes to that, okay, there may be some very great Mahatmas who have absolutely no identification with the body-mind complex, but all of us, however well versed we are in Vedanta and whatnot, we still have some little bit of ego, some little bit of identification. When I go out and somebody talks something harsh to me, I may react in a harsh manner. So which means that I still have a lot of some identification with the body-mind complex. So that way, when I use the word ajnani, we should not feel insulted. So here this non-action of ajnani amounts to action. It is counted as action because there is kartrutva bhavana. There is kartrutva bhavana, that is the notion that I am the doer. So long as that kartrutva bhavana is there, naturally it becomes an action. So it is like a dereliction of duty or something like an act of omission. So it is also counted. It is also counted as a sort of action. So this is what we see here. Totally, what did we see here? A realized person one more point which we have to see in this shloka is, a realized person There is no compulsion that he has to do a karma. A realized person may totally relinquish all karmas. A realized person can become a total sannyasi. But realized person may also be doing some karma for the sake of society, for the sake of others. Maybe somebody comes, some student comes, or somebody comes. So a student asks, okay, teach something. So he may be teaching something. So that is something in the interest of the student, or in the interest of society, he may be doing something. And we have also seen cases like King Janaka, etc. He is a realized person, but at the same time, he has also got the responsibility of ruling a kingdom. So he has been ruling that kingdom. So that becomes a jnani karma. So a jnani may or may not do a karma, but it is not counted as karma. And an unrealized person may or may not do karma. Whether he does karma, it is counted as karma. Even if he does not do karma, it is counted as karma, because he has that notion of I. So this is the wonderful thing in this particular shloka. So this is what we have to very clearly understand. Karmanya karmayah pashyed akarmani cha karmayah. Then the second line says, sa buddhiman manushyeshu. So a person who realizes the difference between a jnani, difference between a realized person and an unrealized person, he is real buddhiman. That is a person, the real nature of himself. He is the buddhiman manushyeshu. Sa yuktaha. Yukta. Yukta means, we know the word yoga. Yoga means that combination, joint. Yuj means to yujir yoge. So yukta means he is very firmly settled in yoga. Firmly settled in yoga means yoga does not mean this breathing, etc., etc. Yoga means this jnana yoga. He is firmly settled in that jnana yoga. Sa yuktaha krutsna karma krut. This is again a very important word. Krutsna. Krutsna means all. All means what? What all karmas, what all rituals, what are yajnas, what are yagas, etc., which have been told in the Vedas or in the Puranas, etc., etc. All those things, they are all mentioned there. Okay, if you do this particular yajnam, you will get this result. You do this particular yaga, you will get so much of punyam. You do this Ashwamedha yaga, you are straight away going to some Brahmaloka, etc., they say. So, this gentleman who has realized his self, he is equal to a person who has done all the karmas which have been told in all the scriptures. So, all the scriptures, okay, he gets a bundle of punyam, a huge bundle, uncountable volume of that punyam. So, this person who is a realized person, he is like that. Krutsna karma krut. So, this word Krishna karma krut should not be taken literally. Should not be taken literally. It should be taken as some sort of compliment. Should be taken as some sort of compliment to the person, to the realized person. A realized person, he is as good as, it is as though he has completed all the karmas, he has performed all the rituals, all the yajnas, all the, whether it is a Ashwamedha yaga or Samadari yaga and Samadari yajna or Bruhaspati yajna, so many things, all these yajnas, he is deemed to have been performed. This is basically by way of praising a jnani. So, sa yuktaha krutsna karma krut. Then the next shloka, yasya sarve samarambhaha kama sankalpa varjitaha jnanagni dagdha karmanam tamahuh panditam budhaha. Yasya sarve samarambhaha. So a person, we are now talking about a jnani. Jnani means a realized person. Realized person means one who has not identified himself with the body-mind complex. That line we should never forget. And one who is not identifying with the body-mind complex. So he is a jnani. So here we are talking, in this shloka we are talking about a jnani. So yasya sarve samarambhaha kama sankalpa varjitaha. That is a person whose actions are not motivated by kama and sankalpa. We know the word called sankalpa. Sankalpa means when I look at some object, okay, I immediately value it. I estimate, okay, this is like this, okay, it has got so many qualities, it has got so many virtues, and if I have it, it will be good for me. So that is what is called samkalpana, samyak kalpanam. That is, I visualize, okay, if I have this, I will be benefited in this way. So I have some sort of great idea, I have visualized something. It is somewhat like an advertisement. So I visualize some good about it. That is what is sankalpa. And that sankalpa leads to that desire. When I value a thing, when I think that, oh, it is of great value, then I immediately desire it. So sankalpa is the basis for kama. So, kama sankalpa varjitaha. Varjita means devoid of kama and sankalpa. So, this gentleman whose actions, all his actions are devoid of kama and sankalpa. He is doing some karma. A jnani is doing some karma, but without that kartrutva bhavana. Kartrutva bhavana is that notion that I am the doer. So, he doesn't have that notion. Then, jnanagni dagdha karmanam tam ahuhu panditam buddhaha. Jnanagni dagdha karma. So, this is again a word which we very frequently get in Vedanta. Jnanam is compared to Agni. Agni means fire. We also hear, we have the story of Lord Shiva. Quite often we have the story of Shiva who opens his third eye. What is this third eye? Third eye is the eye of knowledge, we all know. We all know that there are no two normal eyes, and this third eye is the eye of knowledge. Eye of knowledge means, with that knowledge is something which actually burns down everything. Which means, suppose you make some statement. Suppose somebody makes some false statement. So my knowledge, I am talking in a very, very normal sense, not in the context of Brahmagyanam, even ordinary knowledge. I am talking about ordinary knowledge at a very ordinary level. Even at an ordinary level, suppose somebody bluffs something or somebody tells something which is totally something wrong. So a man who is having knowledge about the subject, so he immediately analyzes and totally refutes and makes the other person zero. So that means whatever the other person has said, it has been nullified by the knowledge. So knowledge, even at a very ordinary level, even at a worldly level, or when we say even the worldly knowledge, suppose a man has something to do with physics, it may be something to do with mathematics or with any other subject. A person with a knowledge in that subject, he will be able to refute any other person who is telling some nonsense about the same subject. So similarly, in the context of Brahmagyan also, in the context of what is called this realization of self, in the context of what is that realization of the supreme reality, a person who has that knowledge, so he knows his actions, they are not actions at all. Because a jnani is a person who doesn't have that kartrutva bhavana, who doesn't have that notion that he is the doer. So long as he is not the doer, then naturally all his actions, they get zero, they get nullified, they get neutralized. So, jnanagni dagdha karmanam. A person is called jnanagni dagdha karma. Karmanam is dvitiya vibhakti. Like Ramaha, Ramam is dvitiya vibhakti. Like that, jnanagni dagdha karma is the prathama vibhakti. Jnanagni dagdha karmanam is the dvitiya vibhakti. Jnanagni dagdha karmanam panditam ahuhu means, people say that such person has a pandita. Jnana, a person who has burnt off, who has totally destroyed, who has decimated. Yeah, decimated may be a better word. Decimated, totally turned into ashes. So all his karmas have been turned into ashes. So such a person, he is called a pandita. And we have come across this word pandita even earlier. Pandita means Panditji. Who is this Panditji? Panda means Atma Vishayakam Jnanam. That is a knowledge of the self. Panda yasya sa panditaha. Panda Atma Vishayakam Jnanam yasya sa panditaha. That is a person who has that knowledge of the self. He is called Pandita. So a Pandita, what does he do? A Pandita, he knows that all his actions are non-actions totally. So we will continue tomorrow. Harihi Om Tat Sat.